Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello. So lovely to see you all here. Thanks for coming this morning to Battersea Arts Centre on the 3rd anniversary of the Grand Hall fire.
Fire!
Yes. We're currently on the set of our co-production with Tourette's Hero, Not I, which has had such incredible responses from audiences. And a massive welcome to Jess from Tourette's Hero this morning, whose tics will be more entertaining and more informative probably than anything I have to say to you.
Sausage dog.
Indeed. So my name is David. I'm Artistic Director of Battersea Arts Centre, and I'll offer you a brief description of myself as part of our drive towards becoming a more relaxed venue and accessible to all comers. So I am a white, middle-aged male. I'm wearing an old blue suit, and I'm also middle class. Indeed, pretty much like too many other artistic directors. I do enjoy wearing hats since I lost my hair, mostly working here. We're going to be in this space for about 40 minutes. Please do feel free to come and go, to move around, to find yourself a more comfortable spot. After this presentation, we will offer you the chance to meet some members of the wider Battersea community and offer you a preview of the emerging Grand Hall, just for a very, very brief look. And it will be, remember, a work in progress of the Grand Hall, a scratch. If you choose to visit the Grand Hall this morning, we just ask that you take no photos, please. Not at this stage, but please do come back later this year, lots of times, and take as many as you like. So this is Amber. Amber and I are doing a bit of a double act this morning. Amber is going to be live scribing this event. This is a scratch, it's a test. Because when we reopen the Grand Hall, we want there to be a visualisation of all the ways in which people can connect with Battersea Arts Centre through all of our different programmes and partnerships. A map of our activity right outside the front of the building. So people walking past can see all the different ways that you can connect with us. So we've invited Amber here this morning to do a bit of a speed scribe in a mini format. Because we want to start the process of thinking about what that map of activity might look like. And in true scratch style, it would be great to get your feedback this morning.
Killer whale. There should be a killer
There
whale.
will definitely be a killer whale. So welcome everybody to Battersea Arts Centre. As part of our very warm welcome, as well as killer whales, we also want to introduce you now to an artist who has been occasionally hanging out in our building over the last year, and whose new show, Vaseline, I'm very proud to say, is a new BAC commission, which we very much hope will occupy the Grand Hall in years to come. So please do give her a very warm welcome for this very early morning gig at Battersea Arts Centre to Amy Leon.
My name is Amy. I'm from New York City. And before I begin, I would like to take a deep breath with you guys, because you know it's early. Now I have time to warm up. So let's do this together. Let's take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. And I like giving people the benefit of the doubt, you know, but everybody raised their shoulders when they took that breath. And that oxygen has nothing to do with here. It has everything to do with here. So let's fill ourselves up. They thrive on us believing that we are small. So let's take up as much space as possible, because there's enough air in here for all of us. So let's take another deep breath in, our stomachs, fill it up. Ooh, that felt better. Thank you. And on this last one, I would like you guys, and I know it might be a little intense, but I'm going to invite you guys to scream with me. Yay! There's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of things, there's barely any sun, so we need to release, and so that we can leave this room and be better and allow for the changes that are happening and all of the beautiful things that are about to be mentioned about the rising of this theater and the ways that we can make change. There needs to be space in us to do that. So let's release whatever we need to release today, and I'm going to sing to you, and then we're going to move on. So,
Yay!
I feel better. Thank you. This is called Daydreamer, and it too will be in Vaseline.
Vaseline.
It's so, I'm so excited.
Biscuit. Actual biscuit.
Stop killing your dreams. I've seen what you've seen, and I simply believe. Daydreamer, stop killing your dreams. I've seen what you've seen, and I simply believe. When I was a little girl, I picked roses with thorns, and I watched as all the blood poured back into the earth, and I begged for a reason to be, a reason to see. I saw the darkness coming. I saw the darkness coming on. Daydreamer, stop killing your dreams. Oh, I've seen what you've seen, and I simply believe. And if all we did was doubt that we exist, and watch our brother, watch our sister, watch our mother and our father dying. And if all we did was see the people dying and flee, and then kill our dreams, what would we really be? What would we really be? Oh, daydreamer, stop killing your dreams. I've seen what you've seen, and I simply believed. I simply believe. When I was a little girl, I picked flowers with thorns, and then I watched as all the blood poured back into the earth, and I talked to the earth and the soil, and I said, Mother, if you thought of me when you met God, am I really here? Or was I just a thought?
When we reopen the Grand Hall later this year, one of the things we are going to do a lot of is curtain raisers.
Curtains.
We will be hosting 5-minute slots before shows for artists to scratch ideas.
Pants raisers.
And those. But also for sharing an item or story from the Wandsworth collection. Or for social entrepreneurs sharing new ventures. Or local voluntary groups presenting their future ambitions. We want curtain raisers to highlight something or someone exceptional. This is because we don't just think art centres and museums are about shows and exhibitions. We're about change. We're a home for everyone's story and everyone's creativity, which expresses itself in myriad ways, and we want to reflect that when the Grand Hall reopens.
Kaleidoscope of bees.
Definitely one of those. Because the show you have come to see in the Grand Hall is just one frame in a Battersea kaleidoscope of ideas, projects, stories and communities and organisations. Our curtain raisers will encourage a world of ideas and people to be more visible in our community. Thank you again to the awesome Amy, who you will be hearing a little bit more about later this morning. So when you walked into the building this morning, you might have thought about the last time you were here and what happened. Or perhaps it was your first time walking into this building and you began to imagine what might happen here today. Buildings are not just bricks and mortar. They are bound up with our memories, our expectations, our relationships. They are portals to our emotions.
Wormhole.
A few years ago, before the Grand Hall fire, we asked local people to nominate their local heroes, long associated with this building's 12-decade history. As well as the usual suspects, people like Charlotte Despard, leading suffragette, and John Archer, London's first black mayor, people also nominated their unsung heroes, like Doris Nichols, who worked here in the town hall in the 1940s, and who protested against being paid less than young men her age doing the same jobs, and won. Her salary was raised. It seems extraordinary that 80 years later Doris's fight continues. We then spent some time thinking about the kind of values that these people's stories represented: determination, courage, hope, creativity, and so on. We chose 12 that have shaped the building's 12-decade history and that have inspired us to think about its future. We're now working with artists such as Lem Cisse and Hackney Mosaic Project to create adventure trails across the building, especially for families, to explore these values and these stories as part of our BAC Moving Museum programme. 3 years ago today, when fire scorched through the Grand Hall in the late afternoon of Friday the 13th of March, in the 13th decade of this building's history, we were quickly moved to add a 13th value to our trail because of the actions taken by thousands of people. Within hours of the fire, artist Stella Duffy had created the hashtag BAC Phoenix. Within 3 days, it had been seen by millions of people all over the world. About 15 or 20 staff spent the next morning in Le Parisienne, which you may have seen, which is the cafe opposite, when I went to pay for all the breakfast and teas and coffees that morning, because he wouldn't let me pay, and he didn't let us pay for a week after that. By Sunday morning, I'd received about 500 emails and hundreds more to other members of staff, each offering incredible support. Because our office space was below the Grand Hall, we'd lost almost every piece of office equipment in the building. So we brought a printer from Asda and stuck every email up on the wall in our emergency HQ, which was just next door to this room. This was just so that everyone who no longer had a computer could see the emails and get back in touch with people. But if you ever needed to just cheer yourself up, you just needed to read the walls. We couldn't find a dangerous structures company to take on the site. It was a massive problem. A week later, someone walked into the building, explained they worked for a dangerous structures company, Deconstruct, lived across the road, and that they wanted to offer us their services at cost. 2,300 people came to see a cast of over 50 artists in a Phoenix fundraiser at the South Bank Centre. Over 5,000 people donated from £1 to £100,000, and the government added £1 million to help a fast-moving fight back. The support of the emergency services, our neighbours, the Arts Council, the Heritage Lottery Fund, Wandsworth Council, our insurers, our dear friends at Howard Tompkins Architects, and many, many more ensured that we were open 24 hours after the fire and that we stayed open with a promise to rebuild brick by brick. It was obvious that the 13th value for the 13th decade of this building's history would be generosity, representing the incredible way people responded to the fire in the hours, days, weeks, months and years which followed. Generosity of things, generosity of spirit, generosity of imagination. Battersea Arts Centre is able to open its doors today because of that generosity. So the 13th installation as part of our adventure trails will involve the creation of a garden and mini allotments for local community groups on Town Hall Road. We couldn't think of a better way to respond to people's generosity than to further share the land we occupy with local people who do not have access to green space. Here is a short film by Thea, a member of our producing team, which remembers the Grand Hall.
E.W. Mountford and indeed the parishioners who commissioned the building and raised the funds for the building didn't just build a town hall with all of its municipal functions, but actually also built a hall for the people of Battersea to come together to be entertained. The memory of a building is not about the decor of the day. There's something about the walls and the earth, the very earth that the building stands on, that I think matters to people.
Wood turns into fire, fire turns into ash. Memories fade, then you make some more. Things rise or rise again, like a phoenix.
People often ask us a lot about how we manage the recovery from the fire. The communication, the rehousing of performances, getting the organisation back on its feet. I've even been asked to present at disaster planning conferences. Of course, the truth was that we didn't have a plan. But what we did have, as well as thousands of incredible friends, was Scratch. Scratch is a simple, iterative process to develop an idea, to listen to feedback and redevelop that idea. Many of you will know that we've used Scratch since 2000 to make shows. But since 2006, we've started to use Scratch as a creative process to underpin everything we do, from creating arts to working with our community to changing our organisation. And crucially, this means that we often begin a journey with limited sight of our destination. By using Scratch for so long, I now realise that we had created a culture in which we were able to respond very quickly to uncertainty, by involving people in the process, by not pretending we had all or sometimes any of the answers, by growing an idea from an uncertain beginning. In the days, weeks and months after the fire, we responded to what happened with an instinct to survive and Scratch. The last email I sent before the fire was in preparation for a change in the organisation's mission, from to invent the future of theatre to this, to inspire people to take creative risks to shape the future. It represented a shift from prioritising art to wanting to support the creativity of everyone in our community. And there is no doubt in my mind that the fire and people's response to the fire has supercharged this change. So we plan to reopen the Grand Hall with what we are calling our Phoenix season. And we hope this will provide not just a window into the world of exceptional artists, but will embrace the creativity of all kinds of people. Over the last 4 decades, BAC has often seeded change in the arts sector, supporting new artistic voices or new creative approaches like Scratch. Less visibly, perhaps, we have thought a lot about our purpose in connection with our community. And as we look towards the Phoenix season, we have been thinking about 5 questions which I want to share with you this morning. Firstly, do we need to change the way arts organisations and museums are led and run? To which the answer is yes. I jokingly mentioned my white middle classness earlier as part of my identity. But of course it is a serious point. If artistic directors and curators come largely from one background and they define the programme of their organisations, then is it little wonder that in the Warwick Commission report in 2015, it highlights that arts organisations are super serving the most socio-economically advantaged people in the country. We can have as many good and well-meaning education and participation programmes as we wish to create, but if the core invitation is to come and join in with what I like, then that is very likely to lead to more of the same. It is a self-perpetuating model in terms of the leadership of arts organisations and museums. And if these organisations are to be relevant in 10 years' time, this must change. 2 examples of other people's ideas we're currently engaged with are as follows. Firstly, up next, a collaboration with Artistic Directors of the Future and the Bush Theatre. 3 artistic directors, Leka, Saad and Tariq, are currently based here in our leadership team, planning takeover seasons of work, reporting to the board. If you'd like to find out more, please talk with Leka and Saad after this presentation. Secondly, Tourette's Hero is helping us tackle the physical and cultural and social barriers which exist in this organisation, to open it up for more people. In the Phoenix season, we will be scratching together ways to make our work more accessible, from chill-out rooms to seeding the idea of a relaxed venue. If you'd like to find out more, please talk with Jess after the presentation this morning. Changing arts organisations is not just about changing leadership. It's also about our everyday programmes of activity. So our second question has been, how can we use creativity to drive social change? For too long, there has been a hierarchy inside cultural organisations which says that the team that make or produce the art are at the top. And education and participation teams, indeed everyone else, is secondary. This is nonsense. One could argue that it contributes to a culture which abuses of power can thrive. It's also an attitude which belongs to an old-fashioned patrician view of art and culture. The truth is, of course, that everyone is creative, that everyone's creativity has equal value. We just express our creativity in different ways. As we launch the Phoenix season this year, we are setting up a national and international network called Co-Creating Change. It will be for organisations and people who want to come together to explore different ways in which cultural organisations co-create with communities. Not in the conventional manner of arts organisations, i.e. on our terms. We are a theatre, come and act. We are an orchestra, come and play. We are a museum, come and curate. Co-Creating Change is interested in people who are helping to develop the creative ideas of communities in whatever shape or form they take. And then, crucially and unusually, learn how we tour or share these creative methodologies. Currently, if someone in the arts sector makes a hit show or exhibition, everyone wants it. But if someone creates a brilliant and creative approach to social change, it's likely to remain in one location. We want this to change, for the arts sector to get better at growing and spreading and creative approaches to change. If you'd like to find out more, please go and talk with Liz, who is our Head of Creativity and Social Change, who can tell you more about the network and related programmes which run here in Battersea. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, how can cultural organisations support young people to realise their potential? Cultural organisations often think our role is to introduce young people to art, even to encourage them to consider working in the arts. But what if they're not interested in the art that I'm interested in? Am I going to try and find out what they are interested in? Or no, I'm just going to stick to my own interests and hope that they join in. This is the participation model of most arts organisations, including this one until recently. And the consequence is that a generation of young people are growing up thinking that cultural centres don't have anything to do with their lives. The truth is we have everything to do with their lives. We should be helping them to creatively invent their future. When we started the agency, we went to find young people on local housing estates to ask them what they wanted to change in their community or territory. A young man called Osmond told us he wanted to create a game called Life's What You Make It, about growing up on a housing estate. A young woman called Sydney told us that she wanted to develop our ideas about creating skincare products from the things that people can find in their kitchen cupboard. And a young woman called Daisy told us she wanted to set up workshops and a recycled clothing line for young mums in the area. At this point, do I turn round and ask these young people to join our youth theatre? Or do we share a creative process like Scratch and help them develop their ideas and pursue their passions? The arts are just one branch of creativity. And organisations like this one must ask ourselves how we help young people to tap into their creativity. And perhaps instead of just fighting for drama and dance qualifications to be maintained in schools, perhaps we should all be working together to fight for creative schools, who champion creativity in every aspect of our children's education. The agency is not about making art, it's about using art-making process to shape and develop all kinds of ideas. And this year, the agency, which is a partnership between Battersea Arts Centre, Contact Manchester and People's Palace Projects, is set to grow, with new partners in Cardiff with the National Theatre of Wales, and in Belfast with Fab Lab, and another major partner to be announced. If you want to find more about the agency, please find Dean and Henry after this presentation. Fourthly, now these get quicker now, I promise you. How can cultural organisations improve the prosperity of the communities in which they work? We've been thinking about the enterprising potential of cultural centres like this one. The creative industries remains the fastest growing sector of the UK's economy. How can we make sure that this fastest growing sector benefits people in Battersea? Offering opportunities for people from schools, colleges and universities in Wandsworth. So this year, launching as part of the Phoenix season, a new resource at Battersea Arts Centre called the BAC Scratch Hub. This will be based in a network of spaces beneath the Grand Hall. For 150 members, using this new co-working space as a home for developing new ideas. We hope young entrepreneurs like Osmond, Sydney and Daisy will adopt the Scratch Hub for their developing ideas. And we're especially interested in providing a home for creative businesses who have an interest in social change. We will also be dedicating a new space right at the front of the building for use by Scratch Hub members to share developing ideas with audiences who come to the building every evening. If you'd like to find out more about the Scratch Hub, or indeed our local Roots programme, which works with 60 Wandsworth and Lambeth charities, please talk with Miriam after this presentation. Finally, how can we connect beyond our building? It remains important for cultural centres, and I think especially those in London, to find all ways to connect with audiences and other organisations beyond their four walls, beyond their city, and beyond their comfort zone. This year we're continuing our collaborative touring network, our partnership with emerging cultural organisations in towns and cities such as Wigan, Gloucester, Peterborough and other areas such as Torbay in Devon and Medway in Kent. The simple idea is to support local organisations to develop regular cultural programmes. But I think we have learnt a lot more from those partners than they have learnt from us. Wigan Old Courts, if you don't know it, you should go, has created the third largest arts centre in Europe, and I believe has a more sophisticated customer relationship database than any other arts organisation in the whole country. While Striker Light in Gloucester and Doorstep Arts in Torbay have recently become Arts Council MPOs because of their innovative approach to creative community development. We're also continuing to Strand produce Performance Live in partnership with BBC Arts and Arts Council England, encouraging independent theatre companies to produce their own work for BBC Two on Saturday nights. The next programme, Wing the Bull in the Elephant Case by choreographer Wayne McGregor and photographer Robin Friend, airs on the 17th of March at 10:40 p.m. followed in late April by hip-hop artist, writer and social entrepreneur Akala and the Ruins of Empires. Both programmes are part of the BBC Civilisations season. If you want to find out more about the Collaborative Touring Network, talk with Christy and Nassi. If you want to find more about Performance Live, talk with Maddie. Maddie. We see all the ideas that I have talked about as part of our Phoenix season. Also in the Phoenix season, there will be 100 individual performances in the Reborn Grand Hall. Of these, there will be 11 theatre and comedy shows, 3 music gigs, and 1 fully accessible multi-art form party. I've got to have a look at that, sorry. Great. So exciting. Of the theatre shows, there will be 3 new commissions, 3 world premieres, 2 London premieres, 2 BAC co-productions, and 1 BAC production across the whole of the front of the building. There will be 10 free events to say thank you, especially to 5,000 people who have supported Battersea Arts Centre with their advice, with their time and their imaginations. They will be receiving invitation later today. And these events will also be open along with the rest of the programme to the wider public. We will also be offering 2,000 tickets to the Phoenix season for £1 each. These will be available exclusively to our local community partners through our new Local Routes programme. So the tickets reach low-income families in Wandsworth and Lambeth. And there will be more than 50 curtain raisers introducing artists, social entrepreneurs, or local charities to a wider audience. So, the first theatre show in the Reborn Grand Hall will be Gecko's Missing, opening on the 6th of September. The run of Missing was rudely interrupted by the fire in 2015, and so, quite simply, Gecko are back at Battersea Arts Centre in 2018 in the newly restored Grand Hall to finish the run of the show. We are absolutely delighted that Ros from Gecko is here today, and you're very welcome to talk with Ros after the presentation. The National Theatre of Scotland will present the London premiere of Adam. BAC's relationship with Jackie Wiley, the new artistic director of the National Theatre of Scotland, goes back many years when she ran the Arches in Glasgow. And it is great to be at the beginning of what we hope will be a long, creative and exciting journey between the National Theatre of Scotland and BAC's Grand Hall. Bryony Kimmings will present the world premiere of I Am a Phoenix Bitch. This will be her first solo show in nearly a decade, and I'm so happy that she has found such a connection with the story of Battersea Arts Centre's Grand Hall. BAC's Beatbox Academy, many of you will know, is 10 years old in 2018, and in their birthday year, they are celebrating the 200th birthday of Frankenstein with their best ever show. I am so proud that we will present them in the Grand Hall with a huge 10th birthday party for the Academy. I Am Next, a creative enterprise developed by Seshi Henry via The Agency. Back in 2014, Seshi presented an I Am Next gig in the Lower Hall. One of the young grime artists he invited was called Stormzy, who the following year won a Mobo and this year a Brit. A few years earlier, I'd encouraged Seshi to come and see one of the artists who is actually in the Phoenix season. Seshi was asleep within 5 minutes. The Agency has enabled Seshi to pursue his own passions, not mine. And now he's in the Phoenix season, along with the artist whose work he fell asleep to. And I'm not going to tell you who that is. Battersea Arts Centre is a UK centre of excellence for beatboxing, and to illustrate that fact, in 2018 we will present the UK Beatboxing Championships, and we will be rooting for members of our own academy who are taking part. Dead Centres, Chekhov's first play, is a BAC co-production, which already toured to 11 countries around the world, and we're absolutely delighted to welcome it home for its London premiere as part of the Phoenix season. Leka Lual is one of the artistic directors working at Battersea Arts Centre as part of Up Next. I have had the honour of learning a lot from Leka over the last 6 months. We are very proud to support Super Black Man in the Grand Hall as part of the Phoenix season. Our Associate Artistic Director, Sarah Golding, creator of the acclaimed adventure for families The Good Neighbour in 2013, now mines the history of another remarkable local hero, Jeannie Nassau Sr. A long time on the very spot where Battersea Arts Centre now stands, a brave woman known for her generosity, lived in Elm House. Return to Elm House will be a building-wide adventure in search of the story of a social pioneer and Britain's first female civil servant who invented modern-day foster care. Little Bulb scratched Orpheus over a 2-year period here. This production, previously presented in the Grand Hall 4 years ago, has inspired us to create a new Phoenix Award to grow work on a larger stage with more resources and grow the ambition. And more of that award in a minute. Orpheus has toured nationally and internationally to Salzburg, to Brisbane, and we welcome it home as a truly joyous musical for Christmas. Daniel Kitson has researched and developed many of his most brilliant shows in this building. We're delighted he will feature in the Phoenix season in the Grand Hall. Some will remember him for his South Bank Centre fundraiser for Battersea Arts Centre and his legendary version of I Didn't Start the Fire. And in a grand night out curated by Daniel Kitson and so far featuring Bridget Christie and Nish Kumar, we are looking forward to a wonderful Grand Hall night of variety as a special fundraiser for Battersea Arts Centre. Tourette's Hero return with Brewing in Battersea for the Grand Hall. This will be a celebration of accessible, immersive performance and play for disabled and non-disabled people of all ages. Dates and further details will be revealed later this year. There's lots more to tell you about, including our new Open A Courtyard Theatre, but I don't have time. So I'm going to finish with a brief mention of our Phoenix events. We thought long and hard about how we thank literally thousands and thousands of people who have helped us. From donations to donations of stuff, to rehousing performances, to shoulders to cry on. The problem is that we can't possibly fit all of those people in the Grand Hall. So we're inviting those 5,000 people who saved us to one of 10 free reopening events across the Phoenix season. From a ceremonial photo in the Grand Hall on Friday the 13th of July, to Gecko's first night on September the 6th, to a vow renewing ceremony as part of Orpheus for all the couples who've been married in the Grand Hall, to helping us cook Christmas dinner on Christmas Day for people who are seeking an alternative home for the day. We hope the Phoenix events offer a range of options for an amazing range of people, without whom we simply would not be reopening. Many of you in this room will be one of those people, and you should be receiving an email invitation from us around midday today. And these events, as I mentioned earlier, will also be open to the wider public to come and enjoy all together as part of our Phoenix celebrations. Finally, we are excited to announce, as the Grand Hall reopens, a new prize. We are launching a new Phoenix Award in recognition of the fact that there are many brilliant artists working on a small scale who don't get the opportunity to try out their ideas in bigger spaces. So, for at least the next 3 years, we will select an artist or company who has a relationship with BAC to receive a new Phoenix Award to enable them to scratch new ideas in the Grand Hall. This will be an award for artists who haven't previously presented their work on the mid-scale. They will receive a minimum of a £4,000 commission, the chance to scratch their work in the Grand Hall and see all the other work in the season, along with lots of residency time and an artist's bedroom to live in the building. I'm very proud to announce that the first recipient of the Phoenix Award is, of course, Amy Leon. Just to finish, I just want to thank a few people, not every single one of the 5,000. But firstly, our board, and most especially our chair, Michael Day, who has been a rock throughout the last 3 years. And all the other volunteers who support this charity. You are exceptional. Secondly, to Howard Tompkins, our architects and friends. We've worked together since 2006. I think it must be one of the longest architectural collaborations in the arts in history. We have learned so much from Steve and his team. And thirdly, to the funders who have leaned in to support BAC during an exceptionally challenging 3 years. Every single programme I have talked about this morning has a funder, or indeed many funders, who have taken a risk to make that programme happen. I did not mention them as we went along because I would literally have added another 5 minutes to the speech, but I would like you to see who they are all right now. Without this group of organisations, we simply could not have moved forwards, could not have changed, might not have been open. And a massive thanks to the 5,000 people who donated time, money and imagination. And also this morning to Amy and to Amber and the wider BAC team who have helped this event happen this morning and have taken us here over the last 3 years. And to all of you in this room, thank you very much for coming this morning.